Hi everybody, Anthony here from Awesome Anthony Productions, and today I'm going to give you my review of the feature directorial debut of stop-motion animator Robert Morgan, Stopmotion. But before we get started, you know exactly what to do at the end of the video. If I've earned it, please leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss any of my new content. Now let's get into it. Now if you're both a fan of horror or stop-motion animation and you haven't heard of Robert Morgan yet, you're missing out. Like someone like Lee Hardcastle, Morgan is one of the pillars of horror stop-motion animation in my opinion, with his grotesque shorts like The Cat with Hands and Bobby Yeah.
Oh, that's gross.
This time he's taken those talents and that keen eye for the most raw, nasty animation out there and blended it with live-action psychological horror for a pretty unique experience. In stop motion, Aisling Franciosi, who we last saw in The Last Voyage of the Demeter, plays Ella, a young woman under the thumb of her overbearing mother who is trying to direct her own stop-motion film. But after her mother ends up in the hospital and leaves Ella to finish the movie by herself, Ella starts making a film of her own, aided by a suspiciously twisted young girl who happens to show up wherever the hell Ella is, played by Kaylin Spingal. As she starts to listen to this girl's advice and direction about the movie more and more, along with isolating herself more and more, this stop-motion animation that she's working on gets increasingly more macabre and disturbing, all while Ella is starting to lose her grip on reality. Wow, was this movie a pleasant surprise? Well, maybe pleasant isn't exactly the right word I would use to describe this disturbing movie, but I definitely enjoyed it, and this is 100% anchored by the two best parts: Aisling Franciosi's performance and that stop-motion animation.
I love it.
Starting with performances, like I just said, I think that Aisling Franciosi gives a great performance here. Since this is psychological horror, it's a little more subtle than more popular horror performances like Ellen Burstyn in The Exorcist, Toni Collette in Hereditary,
Don't you swear at me, you little shit!
Lupita Nyong'o in Us. Franciosi plays to what I feel like is a very realistic depiction of someone having a mental breakdown after spending their entire life being mentally abused.
Trauma.
Her mother is incredibly overbearing, demanding, and just straight up mean, and it seems heavily implied that she steered Ella's life towards helping her with her stop-motion animation, not letting her do her own thing. Franciosi also does a good job playing up that desperation and confusion of someone that really doesn't know their place in life and what they want. And as the film goes on and she loses her grip on reality more and more, it always feels disturbing in a very realistic way without ever going too far or too over the top. She also really sells the fear and pain that she experiences in this movie. Her performance is also elevated by Kaylin Spingal's creepy-ass little girl. She plays up that childlike innocence in the beginning, but then a few things that she says or does right away start to make you think, okay, what's wrong with this little girl? And throughout the film, she just keeps pulling back that veil to show how truly sinister she is.
Who's coming?
The man no one wants to meet.
The Ashman.
And the film uses her character brilliantly, having her show up at the perfect random times to just completely f with Ella's sanity, and also just prove to the audience how much of an unreliable narrator that Ella actually is.
And boy, is she crazy!
Tom York also did a fine job playing Ella's boyfriend, and Therica Wilson-Reed did the same playing his sister, but they're really not in the movie all that much for me to talk about them.
Who are you people?
This really does just revolve around Ella and the little girl. Lastly, in the cast, Stella Gonet plays a brief but pivotal role as Ella's mother, and for the small catalytic part she plays in the story, the script combined with her performance really sell you on why her daughter resents her so much. Now to talk about the best part of the movie, the brilliant stop-motion animation by Robert Morgan. From the beginning, before things even get too disturbing, the animation here is beautiful in the creepiest of ways, with being very smooth and fluid without losing that stop-motion charm. And as things do get more disturbing and Ella starts to make stop-motion puppets out of some pretty nasty stuff, the animation gets more creepy and macabre each time you see it, until almost every image shown in these stop-motion animated sequences will haunt your dreams.
That was disturbing.
But Morgan doesn't even stop there with the animated sequences. He fully blends stop motion and live action later in the movie, and the result is honestly haunting every single time, never letting up even as the credits roll. That's also helped by the music, which is minimalistic but there just enough and creepy enough to make you feel sufficiently uneasy throughout the movie.
I don't like this!
I guess my only complaint here would be that the story doesn't have too much depth to it. You can kind of infer that Ella's going crazy because of all of these years of torment and rigorous dictatorship from her mother, but the movie doesn't really clear that up for you. She kind of just starts to go crazy at one point.
I'm going crazy.
We also pretty much know nothing about her or the rest of the characters, which makes it a little hard to root for her, but Aisling Franciosi's performance really does bring it home. Now, normally I would be pretty frustrated with a movie that chooses style over substance so much like this one does, but with this, the stop motion had so so much subtext and substance within it that when it's paired with Franciosi's brilliant performance, it made for a satisfying watch that while it didn't exactly leave me feeling existential or ponderous as the best psychological horror movies do, it definitely left some f***ed up images in my head. And that's my review of Stop Motion. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this review, you know exactly what to do. I said it at the beginning of the video. Please leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss any of my new content. While you're at it, you can scroll down to the description, find the links to my socials, leave a comment, let me know if you saw this movie and what you thought. And if you want more of my content, you can click or tap on these cards right here. They'll take you to my review of Madam Web, or just over to my channel where you can check out my reviews, my shorts, and my old shit. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you next week for my review of Dune Part 2, one of my most anticipated movies of 2024.